What were your influences in music at the time? Obviously, you're living in Rhode Island. You're just a short drive to New York. I'm assuming you were influenced by Terror Squad at that time coming up.
Yeah. So, um, my first producer, Spoonie June, he actually knew Big Pun and Joe and Cuban. He knew them. So, he's the one that put me onto Terror Squad and things like that. And I remember he took me. Man, I think it was a Puerto Rican parade in New York where Pun was so heavy that he was on top of the truck, and they were all rapping in the float, but he was like in a couch because he couldn't stand up because how heavy he was. So I remember seeing that.
Do you remember what year this was?
Man, I don't remember, man, but I think if I'm not mistaken, Pun, it could have been right before he passed away, but I know it was a Puerto Rican parade and he was rapping, but he was on the couch, bro. So that was the first time that I saw him, just passing by. But then years after, I ended up connecting with Cuban Link. I did 2 songs with him. Doing the music as you know. I started with the diss tracks and stuff like that. So there was a lot of people that was scared to get next to me or put their name into my stuff. But Cuban Link was one of the ones that wasn't afraid. So he ended up collaborating with me, and he had this dude named Cano. He had Poe Rilla. And these guys were like one of the realest dudes to me at the time, because I was like, man, like these dudes ain't scared that I'm dissing the whole reggaeton game. Like they on my side. Like they love what I'm doing and they showing me love. Mm-hmm. So those dudes, they showed me mad love when I used to go to New York, and a lot of the artists in New York always showed me love because I was kind of going against the reggaeton thing, representing a lot of them, because a lot of them saw that they were also being blackballed and they were getting played in the radio because they weren't from Puerto Rico. There was so many dope artists in New York. So a lot of the rappers in New York had my back. I was like one of their own.
Right. And what do you think Terror Squad meant to the Latino community during that time?
Oh, everything. Especially because to me, when I look at the albums, Illmatic to me, best album ever. But Capital Punishment, to me, is the most lyrical, bar by bar album of all time. I know a lot of dudes love Eminem and stuff like that, but bro, you listen to Capital Punishment 20 something years later, and it's like almost, to me, I tell the guys, it's almost like reading the Bible. Every time you hear it, you hear something new. You didn't realize Pun. You didn't realize this is what Pun meant, because his wordplay was just from another world. He was too ahead of his time. So to me, Capital Punishment is the if you had like masterpiece like Picasso, like whatever, I put Capital Punishment up there, word by word, bar by bar. There's nothing like it. To this day, I haven't heard anything like it.
And it's really interesting because at that time you didn't have a lot of Latino rappers, right? And I always say this, that it's like when you're growing up in the hood, you get these stereotypes of what you can possibly become, what you could possibly do with your life, right? But when you turn on the TV and you start to see that representation, you start to see people that look like you doing something else, it's so powerful. It gives you that belief that, man, I could do this too.
Yeah. Seeing the Puerto Rican flag in a music video on TV, right, was like, oh wow, that's one of my people. They're doing it, and they're doing it good. They're doing it good. So it's crazy. I think, even before Terror Squad, I think the first Puerto Rican in a video, if I'm not mistaken, it was a guy called Puerto Rock Blades or something like that, and he was like a part of a group. And I remember seeing them in a music video, and I'm like, yo, these are Boricuas. But then when Terror Squad came, when Pun came, even Cuban Link, like just that, the beautiful thing about Pun and Cuban was that it was almost like, listening to Jordan and Kobe, if they were rappers, right?
Right.
It was so
back
alike.
and forth.
They were like one. They were like they came together. Like there would have never been, you know, it would have never made sense if Cuban wasn't a part of Terror Squad. You know what I'm saying? Um, it was so perfectly. It was just the right time for Terror Squad to come out in history and the impact they had. It was just beautiful. All of them, it's sad to see what had happened with all of them, with the stuff that happened. But I have mad respect for Terror Squad. To me, they're up here when it comes to Latinos and Puerto Ricans in the music.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to Cuban Link, man. That's my brother and the whole Rios family.